Howdy fireworks brainers. So apparently I am a bad ADHD health coach. And that is because when I came back from my long holiday, I really struggled to get back into my workout routine. And when I say I struggled, I mean basically T-Rex trying to smear butter on a crumpet struggling. So I struggled quite a bit. Obviously, I'm an ADHD health coach, and so that means that I am hyper aware of all the reasons why it is so important for us with an ADHD brain to work out. And so I didn't feel good about struggling for weeks, obviously, to get back into my workout routine. But of course, I'm an ADHD health coach, and so I know what kind of strategies I can use to kick my brain into gear. And I established two main reasons why I was just not getting there. The first one was overwhelm, and then the executive dysfunction related to that. So this trip was quite emotional. I hadn't seen my family and friends in over 3 years. And so going through all of that basically gave me an emotional whiplash. In short, my brain and my body was completely fried. So my unproductive thoughts related to that were that I was too tired and I just couldn't do it. Then the second reason why I was struggling was because of perfectionism and catastrophizing. I knew that if I would go back to the gym, it would be harder to lift the weights that I was lifting before. So the unproductive thoughts that I had was that it would be shitty and I would be in pain and I would just feel like crap about myself and my confidence would be totally screwed. So then I decided to tackle that with some strategies related to my framework called SHEET. And there's a little bit more information about that in my bio, but I will probably make another video about that as well. Anyway, the first strategy was structure. So before I did anything else, I reestablished a proper weekly schedule. And that helps because it gives you a sense of control and it gives you confidence as well. So it makes you feel less overwhelmed. And that is something that I really needed in that moment in time. Then the second thing I did was I broke it down and I used environmental cues. Before doing anything related to the gym, I made sure to set aside one day in which I would just subscribe to the gym again. The second step was to actually lay out my workout clothes the day before. And that takes away the pressure and any negative feelings that you might have towards this task. And so it's much easier to actually just lay out your clothes when you know that it will still take a little while for you to actually have to do the thing. So your brain doesn't rebel so much against it. Your workout clothes also function as a cue, so it helps your brain to actually get into workout mode on the day of working out. And then there's another reason why this actually works. It basically just removes friction, because we all know that our brain sometimes just throws a tantrum the minute it has like some kind of friction. So this helps to reduce that friction. Then, of course, I did actually go to the gym, but I made sure that I was only doing half an hour instead of my usual hour. And I actually halved my weights as well. So I wouldn't just get so sore and it wouldn't be so uncomfortable. Then the next week, I did one session and I did that for an hour. Then the week after that, I did 2 sessions and I did each session for an hour. So I really gradually built up to make sure that I wasn't putting too much pressure on myself and to give my body the chance to adapt as well. Before going to the gym, I actually also used an emotional strategy. And essentially that meant that I was imagining the feeling that I usually get after coming back from the gym, which is I feel like a badass. I feel like I've got a sexy bum. I just feel really good about myself. And usually, even if I have had a really horrible day, I will feel much better afterwards. So I didn't just think about this feeling, I actually felt it. I imagined coming back from the gym and feeling that. I really pulled up that feeling. And our brain loves yummy feelings, obviously. And so it really helped to motivate myself to actually go to the gym. Then last but not least, I worked on my thought hygiene. I reminded myself that this had been a long holiday and I hadn't had a long holiday like that in literal years because I'm self-employed. And so that is just much harder to do. I also reminded myself that this trip brought up a lot of feelings because I have a very complicated relationship with my family. And as I said, I hadn't seen them or my friends in over 3 years. And so that was a lot emotionally. Another thing that happened was that I launched my new Unpretzel sessions, which basically just meant that I was doing longer hours and that I was a lot more stressed. And so all of those things together really made it difficult for my brain to shift gears. So I tapped into my self-compassion, and then I reminded myself that it's not because I miss a few weeks of workouts that I am a shit ADHD health coach. It just means I'm human. Subscribe for more ADHD health tips and strategies.